That was a very kind introduction. My name is Ambika Singh, and I am the chief boss lady of Armoire. I started Armoire in 2016 when I was a graduate student at MIT. I interviewed over 500 women. I spent time with them in their homes. I asked them about their challenges, their life stories, their opportunities, the things that bothered them, the things that made them feel confident. And after all of this chatting, I felt very confident that I wanted to focus on their closets. Their closets? Their closets might seem like a strange place to start, but I'll tell you why. The closet seemed to attract undue amounts of energy from these incredible women. They had spent hours curating the closets. There were stories of the items in there, where they had been purchased, the deals they had scored. There were stories of the money that they had spent. But amazingly, when I asked them how they felt about their closets, the most repeated word was the word guilty. They felt guilty about the time spent, guilty about the money spent, guilty that the clothes didn't fit them anymore or they didn't like them. This armor that was supposed to be keeping us safe and strong and warm was actually making us unhappy. Enter Armoire. Armoire is the dream closet, and our mission is to armor the ambitious woman so that she can be who she needs to be. How do we do this? So we employ a couple important things. One, the closet is shared. This green blazer that I'm wearing, loving it tonight. It's gonna be somebody else's by tomorrow. It's giving me tremendous joy. I'm really excited about it, and it fits me great. It may not fit me by next week. I have a little baby coming along, so I'm changing sizes fast. But somebody else is gonna love it, and I'm so thrilled to be able to pass it along. We're gonna curate that closet so that for someone like me who's changing a bunch of sizes, or maybe somebody like you who's changing careers or even temperatures, we're gonna curate that closet with love, like your best friend would, offering things that are in your safe space, but also things that we say to you, you should just try this, you know? You might really like it. Hopefully I've enticed you enough, taking a page from Julie to put up the QR code. Hopefully I've enticed you enough to take a look. If you flash this or come find me afterwards, I can tell you a little bit more and give you a good code. Today, Armoire is a multi-million-dollar business. Thank you. We employ over 70 people in Seattle, and we ship to every state in the union with thousands of customers across every different little state and city in our great country. I am living my dream, for sure. I wake up every day and I'm still like, how did I get here? Well, I'll tell you, the first trick is that I started here. I had to throw this up because almost 20 years ago to the day, I graduated from high school on this very stage. And I gave a very different speech about where I was going. But the reason that I shared that is because I started in this seat, just like many of the young women that we heard from tonight, and I had a dream, I still have a dream, that I'm chasing. But the interesting thing is, I never took a scary leap. I didn't dive off any cliff, and I didn't turn around 180 degrees and throw my life away. Those visualizations have never worked for me. Because if I believed that chasing my dreams required me to throw my life away or jump off a cliff or start over, I would have been way too terrified to do it. Instead, I took steps. And I'll continue to take steps. And the steps are something that I can accomplish today. And tomorrow's step will be a little bit different. but they're incremental steps on top of this very stage that I started on 20 years ago. So today, what I hope to give you is a little bit of advice about how to chase your dreams without ever diving off a cliff. So 3 things that we'll talk about today: inertia, micro risks, and chasing balance instead of epic. What is inertia? So I bet the young women in the room can give us the proper definition, but in case it's been a long time since you were in a physics class, an object in motion will remain either at rest or in motion unless it gets arrested by an external force. We are also subject to inertia. But the way I would interpret this in this context is a little bit different than the way we talk about it in physics class. We all have routines, we have lives, we have families, we have friends. And to arrest that routine and do something different, for me, required external forces. It's a lot to ask, to say, yes, you have a dream, and yes, you are the only one accountable to achieving it, so hopefully you can figure that out. We've heard from a bunch of the other speakers that asking for help is important. This was my way of asking for help. I needed to figure out a way to arrest my progress and make sure that I took myself off of the track that I was on so that I could put myself on a different path. So for me, what that meant was that I had this idea, I wanted to chase it, so I changed the way my daily routine looked, and I was very lucky to get into MIT's accelerator that required me to show up every Tuesday and report on my progress. Just that sort of accountability step was I can't even sort of like measure how important that was in my progress. I found not 1, but 4 co-founders, people who I still am deeply indebted to and also felt a lot of accountability to. So I showed up every time we met having taken a few steps that maybe if it had just been me, I would have excused away or told myself I was okay with not having. So for me, figuring out how to find external forces to help me get on my path to achieve my dreams and arrest the inertia that I already had was very important. The second concept I want to talk to you about today is about micro risks. So the Harvard Business Review reports that men are much more likely than women to take risks, and they're also much more likely to bounce back after inevitable failure. Why is that? There's lots of theories. We carry the weight of our families, we carry the weight of our communities, we feel like we are responsible for making sure that not just our lives stay on track, but everybody else's lives stay on track. Those are the things that are happening to us, and certainly we should work on fixing them. I see lots of beautiful men in the room. You all have a part in this. But there's also things that we do to ourselves. And one of the things I'd like to encourage you to do is think about micro risks that you can teach yourself to take on a daily basis that will build your risk-taking muscle. What does that mean? I'm wearing a crazy blazer. This is definitely a weird color by any stretch of the imagination. I've never worn it before. I wasn't sure if it was gonna look good on me. And the biggest failure that could have happened was that I thought I looked foolish. Maybe somebody else thought I looked foolish, but the outcome of taking that risk, not so bad. If you go to a restaurant and you're terrified to order something that you've never ordered before, or you don't want to go somewhere that you've never been, it's not entirely surprising that you don't want to completely change your career or move somewhere or chase your dreams. So my suggestion would be find those micro risks that feel comfortable and watch them start to build, because it really is a muscle. Once you sit in that failure and figure out that most of our failures are okay, we're gonna brush ourselves off and we're gonna do something different, we'll teach ourselves that taking some risks, we're okay with that. My last piece of advice. This one is a tricky one for me. So the picture on the left is a trip I helped organize. 200 of my best friends sailing around, having this epic party, and the word epic probably got said 60 times a day. That's my natural state. I love to live in the epic. But 18 months ago, I met my new best friend, and he's taught me a lot about why living in the epic is pretty difficult. For the parents in the room, you know that your control over your life becomes greatly reduced when somebody else is in the driver's seat, especially if they're very small. But the beautiful thing about it is that what I have learned from him is that these things fit together in a really harmonious way. We will be having the best, most epic moment, and literally 30 seconds we are having the worst, most unepic moment. And these are two sides of the same coin. Parenting my business has been somewhat of a similar lesson. In 2019, we grew 350%. I literally thought I was standing on top of the world. It seemed that we could do no wrong. We were exploding at the seams, hiring incredible people. Everyone I met was an Armoire customer. It was incredible. And I fell off the other side of the mountain very instantly. When COVID came, our business at the low was 20% of the size it is today. All of that work, all of my team's work, all of the money, all of the energy, it felt like all of it was gone. But in fact, it wasn't. And today, we're nearly double the size that we were at our peak in 2019. But the interesting thing is that we necessarily had to fall off the other side, because back to our physics lesson, if you are standing on the top, the bottom is the other part of the top. And part of our internal muscle in teaching ourselves to chase our dreams is to be okay with the fact that we will live up here and we will live down here. And to understand that these two things are part of the same coin. And that's what I hope will help you persist through the challenges that your big, bold dreams are going to lead you into. Remember that when you're standing up there and you fall off, it's okay, because you're going to crawl out at some stage and start climbing up the mountain again. So 3 things to remember. In order to chase your dreams, you do not have to jump off a cliff, but you do have to arrest inertia, teach yourself to take micro risks, and learn to love the balance. Be bold, my friends.